This conference will now be recorded.
All right, the time being 4:45 p.m., I'd like to call the meeting of May 6, 2021 to order. Before we get started, if you are joining us virtually, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you want to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. Because space is limited due to social distancing requirements, we are providing access to the meeting via telephone and the GoToMeeting platform. Members of the public wishing to attend this meeting via phone may call the following conference call number at 1-866-899-4679, access code 817-026-717. Members of the public wishing to use the GoToMeeting platform may access the meeting remotely using your smartphone, tablet, or computer at global.gotomeet.me/town-of-Tilton/Selectmen. This information can also be found on our website at tiltonnh.org under meeting schedules and agendas, Board of Selectmen. We have a selectman who will be participating via the virtual platform, so all votes will be by roll call. The reason? The reason that in person.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I don't think the selectman is on or has joined. So if he does join, he'll just need to, state where he's at if he's alone and the reason why he can't be with the board in person.
So I guess we'll start the meeting by taking roll call attendance. Any member participating virtually should state their presence and also state whether there is anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required under the right to know law. The member should also state why they are not able to participate in person. All right, so we'll do a roll call vote. Ira here.
Constantino here.
Ruggles here.
Let the record show that Selectman Scannell is currently not here. All right, 4:45. Let's call the order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to review the minutes of April 28th, 2021. Make a motion to bring the minutes to the floor for discussion.
Ruggles second.
I don't think we need a motion to bring them in.
We have one now. I'm being safe.
Well, for future reference.
All right. It's really different when you read these on your phone versus when you read them in paper. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Or do I have to do roll call? No, because he's not here. No, he's not on. All right. Motion passes. Moving right along. My favorite phrase.
So Officer Murray was supposed to join the board to make a brief presentation. I apparently has been detained or called away. So each of you, I will attempt to do it. She shared it with me. You have in your packet a photo, artwork. It's that if you see it, it looks like this. Right, okay. So the Tilton School students, I sent you a picture earlier. They finished the flag, did a wonderful job. They are willing to do the last wall of the siphon pump. And they have made this design that they would like to put on that wall. I thought it was pretty interesting. And the explanation of what it's supposed to represent is awareness of mental health. So that's a person's head with the hand pulling away a piece of the head and thoughts and ideas coming out. And on the right-hand side at the lower corner, you'll see a QR code. And you would scan that and it would direct you to a mental health site to talk about mental health issues, which seems to be very prevalent these days. So I thought that was an interesting concept. So I told Officer Murray that I thought that the board would probably want to look at this and weigh in on it before they went ahead with this, and they are ready to start next week. So
I like it. It's different.
definitely modern.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know what the symbols signify.
I don't think anything specific.
Okay. The autism? Oh. Okay. I like it.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Semicolon.
Okay.
Then there's a battery.
I can ask, I believe, is Terry Smith coordinating this?
I would guess
Yes.
because she was the one who coordinated the other one, but
Yeah.
I guess the point is they want to do it next week before next Thursday. So
I could literally have an answer for us tomorrow, and in terms of what the symbols mean, if we're looking for a little bit more definition. Probably actually get her to respond back now.
You're like peeling back the layers.
Yeah.
With the hand.
Well, it will certainly engender discussion.
Yeah,
Eric,
Pat, sorry.
It certainly will provoke thought, that's for sure. I like it. I like it a lot. My only thought on this is that when we first set up this whole project, we were going to entertain several schools doing it. The other schools not interested now, or
pretty much. We've had some challenges
Okay.
getting participation. So
oh, okay, all right. I like it a lot.
The thinking piece.
Mm-hmm. And mental health. I mean, that's very prevalent
Yeah.
in our society right now.
I also think it's kind of cool that it's interactive. If you scan the QR
Yeah.
code, that's pretty cool.
How this century. Well, good. I'm a yes.
Can we have somebody actually, after this is done, have a something in the paper explaining this and everything?
I
Okay,
definitely
you're on
would.
top of that. I knew that.
Yeah.
I should have known better. Sorry. I'm in favor.
I'm, yeah, do we make a motion or just go for consensus?
So moved.
Moved. I'll second.
Okay.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Just so you guys, I just sent Terry Smith a quick email just to, so she can clarify for us what the,
I just want to make sure we're not putting some weird symbol on there.
correct. Agreed.
I'm not hip on all those things, so
No.
that's my kids. I'm not hip at all. All right. Next on the agenda is DP Director Kevin Duvall, trash collection. Come to the hot seat. Trash collection. Solid waste. Welcome. How are you today? Sure.
Talk trash to us, come on.
Let's do some trash talk. Let's do some trash talk. Seems to be a hot subject around here, these parts.
There you go.
Green light. Okay. So I guess most recently we got through Amnesty Week. It was pretty awesome. I have to say that I've been here for 4.5 years, and this year I believe we only collected about half of what we've done in the past for each amnesty. Hands down. We
Go ahead.
okay.
I just saw someone jump on that.
In the years past, we've had lines out the parking lot into the street. This year, this past one, not even close. We've had a collection of maybe 2 or 3 cars. We did some changes. We set up the sign that broadcasts we are checking dump stickers, and we held true to that. We made people get dump stickers. In years past, it was a lot of it was, well, we know this person or we know that person. There was never any, in the 4 years that I've been here, 4.5 years, there wasn't any solid effort into making sure dump stickers were present. So that was the biggest change this year, well, this past one. And I think that it deterred a lot of people from thinking that they could get away with something. Now, granted, I don't think it was a complete fix, because we still have a lot of work to do with as far as checks and balances when it comes to making sure that the solid waste we're handling is from Tilton. I don't think it'll ever be 100%, but I know that we can do better. Starting with the dump sticker, redoing the dump sticker, making sure that they are attached to the vehicles, that they coincide with license plates. So I would like to see that pushed forward. Also, I know that there's a lot of discussion about Northfield and what they are doing now. I've been forwarded a lot of emails concerning that. And to be honest with you, this is something that I've kind of thought about for the 4.5 years that I've been here. How much trash from other towns is coming to our facility? And this is just kind of bringing it to the forefront. Oh my goodness, Northfield is starting to do some changes, some drastic changes. So now we're starting to see, okay, we need to buckle down on this system so that we're not handling Northfield trash. So I would like to see the dump sticker coincide with the vehicle's license plate. I would like to see some type of coupon system handed out with the dump stickers to allow for the free items throughout the year that could be utilized throughout the year, not just 2 weekends a year or 2 weeks out of the year. I think that'll help decrease or lessen the impact on the department for a week in the spring and a week in the fall, because it equates to overtime and extra tonnage at a specific time.
Can you still get rid of the things in the winter if they bring it in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have resources to get rid of the materials that we collect throughout the year. We have finished our ramp in the back. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but we've heard a lot of praise from the residents saying how much easier it is to handle the trash or the stuff that they're throwing away. So that was nice feedback to hear. And it seems to be streamlining things a little better. We were able to have two lanes of traffic. So I think all in all, we're heading in the right direction. I just need a few more things to get through. The last thing that I'd like to see us solidify is a updated price sheet. for the, or the payments schedule for the items that we collect. There are a lot of things that we collect that we don't charge for, which is why I think the surrounding towns are taking advantage of us. Mattresses. We don't charge for mattresses. We don't charge for sofas, love seats, or chairs. Those are large items, and it doesn't take a whole lot to fill a dumpster. And when our dumpster is 200 and I think it's $80 a tipping fee and so much a ton. So just a round trip for a dumpster is right around the $300 mark, give or take. That's a lot of expense. And the only money that we're bringing in is on the metal dumpster. But after we pay the tipping fee and the hauling fee for the metal, our profit from the metal isn't enough to cover our expense for just our MSW, which is our household burnables. And then we've got the other expenses, the demolition and wood dumpsters. Okay, we don't have a minimum charge for those dumpsters. So when people bring in a little handful here, a little handful there, put it in the dumpster, we can't accurately charge for a handful or a couple of pieces here and there. There's no minimum. It's not a half a truck. It's not a cubic yard. It's not a half a cubic yard. So there's a lot of leeway there. There's a lot of inconsistency there. So I would like to see us solidify a charge for at least a minimum charge for the wood dumpster, the demolition dumpster. And I would like to see us come up with a value to charge for the furniture and the mattresses. I think that will help us get in the right direction as far as having our solid waste not be such an expense. Still provide the service for the town, but not have it impact the department as such an expense right now. We just don't collect enough money, and it's above and beyond the normal trash collection.
So you're recommending that if I understand correctly,
Hmm?
I get the mattresses and the furniture, and I get that part, but for the wood, a few pieces here and there that you've picked up that have been laying around your yard for a while, those people you're not going to charge, but you want to charge for people that break down sheds and things like that bring in trailer loads.
Well, what's happened is over the years of not having a minimum charge, people are aware of this. So they will break down a shed or they will break down a deck and they will just bring a few pieces at a time. Well, over the course of a month, we now have their entire shed filled up the dumpster, but we haven't collected any money on it. So what I'd like to see, whether it be a $3 minimum or a $5 minimum, if you put
anything.
for anything, if you put wood in that dumpster, it's going to cost you something.
Wow.
At the end of the month, if we have a full dumpster, if we haven't collected any money on it, how do we deal with that?
I hear you loud and clear on that. I think I'm trying to word this so that what's the percentage of people that really do that? Then you have families that just come in with a few pieces that they've, repaired a board, and then they have 2 pieces of wood that come in and just drop it off, as opposed to, decking and things like that. Is it a really high percentage that we need?
Over the last 3 or 4 years, I've seen it increase year after year because people are learning that they can get rid of the stuff for nothing if they just bring in a little bit at a time.
Shame on them. Because now the other people, whether it be the seniors or whatever that repair one board.
Yeah.
If you bring that in now, they're going to get charged $3. Then, I mean, it's just because other people can't abide by the rules. Sad.
If I tore down a shed and brought the wood,
Mhm.
a Bob House size shed.
Mhm.
What does it cost me to get rid of it now?
It depends on how much material you bring in. If it's a cubic yard, it's $45. Excuse me, if it's wood and it's a cubic yard, which is 8-foot bed, pickup truck, water level, it's $10. If it's wood. If it's demolition, meaning concrete, things like that, then it's the $45 a cubic yard, which is drastically lower than the surrounding towns.
Well, I don't care about the surrounding towns so much. What I do care about is recouping what it costs to throw it away.
Hmm?
Do you know what it costs to throw it away? Because that's what we would base our decision.
Sure, it's $80 a ton for just for the weight cost, and it's,
I go into Rochester.
excuse me, it's $80. It's an $80 tipping fee, and then so much a tonnage, so much a ton after that for the tipping fee. I looked at the bill the other day, and our dumpsters have been averaging $265 to $275 each time they tip it for the amount of tonnage in each dumpster
For the wood.
for the wood. Well, the wood in the demo are charged the same because they dump the same.
How many cubic yards are in it?
Are in a dumpster. They are 30-yard dumpsters.
30. So $10 a cubic yard, you'd come out even if that were the
Without it,
case.
yeah, pretty much even, yes.
Pretty much.
I know this is a weird question, but if it rains and that dumpster's out there, say it's not full and it's out there for a few days, and we get a heavy rain,
As to the tonnage.
the tonnage goes up because we're not.
They have
It's not
drains
covered.
in them.
No,
Well,
I know, but
wet
it's the
stuff weighs
wet
more
stuff,
than dry stuff.
the stuff
but
at the bottom is
Oh,
not going to
sure.
get.
Oh, they're all factors, absolutely.
Well, I'm just thinking like this last few days, we've had a lot of rain and
You know, over the winter time when the MSW dumpster is full, we actually have to bring that inside to let it thaw out, because where MSW is brought, they don't have the machinery to drag it out of the container. So that's an extra charge as well for a dumpster that we're not taking any money in on. They'll charge us $100 to come and move the dumpster inside. So we have a lot of expense that we need to try to wrangle in.
you have suggested increases, do you?
Yes.
You have those written down that we can look at?
No, they're in my head.
So you can bring them in
Oh, sure.
written down for us, yeah.
I could write everything down and present it. Absolutely.
can you put like the current price and then what you're
Yes.
proposing?
Yes.
I know you gave us information a couple months ago about some of the
Other
surrounding
towns and
towns.
stuff like that. Yeah.
In order to actually decide on a price, we're gonna need, the
Written
information.
figures.
and-
Sure.
As I think,
I wanted to get a feel from the board as far as what direction to go in. If it was something we were entertaining, or if we were just going to hold steady and keep things as is. So
I like the idea of the coupon because that spreads it out. That's less wear and tear on the overtime. It's less wear and tear on having one group, and to the residents that have to get it all at once. Oh my gosh, I forgot amnesty. And then they wrangle around, grab what they could, and then get to and then sit in line for a half hour, whatever, if you get there in time. I like being able to say, oh, this Saturday I have off. I've got a few things to bring. Here's my coupons. Let's go. And I really do like that idea. And I think a lot of people would like that idea. The furniture, I think we need to figure out the prices accordingly to offset whatever it is. I'm kind of not in favor of the 1 or 2 pieces of wood, only because I do know seniors that we often go out and the Tilton School comes down and helps us this time of year that will replace a board or 2. and you pick up, by the way.
Hmm.
And I can't see one or two
Well,
people suffering because people bring in large loads. I think if we started a place here instead of here, I'm in favor.
there is another step that we could take at the transfer station. And even though our wood dumpster is designated wood, it is dumped as demolition because we don't separate the painted wood or the pressure treated wood. So it cannot be hauled to a facility that handles clean wood, which is usually chipped or ground into other materials. Now, if we were to set up another dumpster that handled just the wood, clean wood, unpainted, unpressure treated, then we could actually have the separation that we need, demolition and wood, and actually recoup some costs that way as well. It would take the attendant watching the transfer station to be diligent with where people are putting things and then correcting it so that we can entertain that idea as well. The other thing that I would like the board to think about is adding a day to our transfer station hours, so that we're not cramped into one afternoon during the week, short afternoon, and a short day on Saturday.
What were you thinking?
Maybe a Friday, having hours similar to Wednesday, 1 to 3 or 1 to 3:30, adjusting the hours just to give people a little bit more time to get their things in to the transfer station. When we make these adjustments, we'll have to have signs made so that we can communicate the changes. But also that would be the time for me to redo the sign for the transfer station hours and how things are going to change.
Favor that.
Can we do a press release when that time comes?
Well, I had another idea. We have tax bills going out. What's the date that they go out?
We wouldn't, unless
Well,
I think we need more time.
you just put in hours.
well, that's what I'm thinking,
Increase hours of
but also the
operation.
sticker. I think the sticker is an important piece of information that I think there's certain things that we can phase it in, and
This
so
is
that we can
coming,
get
or
it.
this is.
Yeah, and we can still do a press release, which I think is a great idea, but this gets it into their hands, just like, the town report. It seems like everyone has the amnesty all of a sudden from the town report, but do that. Joe?
Why don't we give out these stickers automatically when you register your vehicle? 2 vehicles, 2 stickers.
Well, that was my original proposal. They write the license plate on the sticker.
And why aren't we doing that?
Uh,
Because we don't
don't.
automatically give them out.
Right, and that was my idea.
Good enough, but why not?
We couldn't agree on anything, and
Can we ask the town clerk?
With putting their plate number on it.
Well,
not 2 stickers, one vehicle, 1 sticker per vehicle registered.
it would have to go off of tax cards as well, because some out-of-staters have summer homes.
You
on
don't
vacation.
register their vehicles in Tilton.
Exactly. So it would be a tax, but it would be up to the tax collector or the clerk to write their Massachusetts plate number, Arizona plate number
They
on.
don't get to dump their garbage there, do they?
If they have a summer home here and
Hmm.
they have a tax
That's
bill,
true.
then
But they
should.
don't register vehicles. They would
No.
just have to come in and get the sticker.
Exactly. And it would be up to her to write their plate number, and
Okay.
she would write Massachusetts or whatever
Yeah.
state they're coming
Yeah.
from. Yes.
Mhm.
So
Those
when it's
stickers
applied,
come right off and go on another vehicle.
so when it's applied to the vehicle, my attendant can just look at the sticker, look at the plate number and say, okay, clear to dump.
They don't have a classic adhesive background. They're one of those things that like you make it damp and there's a bond with the window. They peel right off.
I think it should be maybe effective June 1st. Happens to coincide with changes.
We would have to get new stickers though, because the current sticker doesn't have a place for this
Okay.
plate number.
Do we know what the turnaround on that would be, getting those ordered?
I think she gets them from the prison system, or she orders
Oh, I
them.
don't know. I've never
I don't
asked
know where
that
she gets
question.
them. But I think that that's really a question for the town tax collector to see if she's willing and able to do it, because that's her office. I mean, that's something for her to do. We can't.
Other towns do it. So, I mean,
I get that, but we still have to ask if she's willing to do that. It's not up to us to direct her to do that.
We can dispense them in the selectman's office when you register your car. If they would be so kind as to just direct the individual back to the selectman's office, they can get a sticker there if it's a problem at the
Well,
counter.
I think we ask Cindy first, and if she's willing to do it, then
Yep.
then we'll go to Plan B.
Yep.
You know.
Is there something specific you want in the newsletter?
I guess we had to pick a date and state that to go to the transfer station, you're going to need a current sticker, which will be able to be picked up at whatever we did. If we determine that it's at when you register your vehicle, and if you've already registered your vehicle for this year, you can go to town hall with your registration in hand and get your sticker.
Get an updated sticker.
Get an updated
Dump
sticker.
stickers are at town hall, period. They are at town hall. They, so you can put that in the newsletter, whether or not Cindy is willing to put the registration number on the ticket, each one, and give them out at the same time is the question. And if not, we can go to Plan B and then maybe pass it on to Gail and ask her to do it, whether Plan B for dump stickers, and then just, can you give me your registration? Yeah, okay, boom.
Did you want something in the newsletter about, did you agree to an extra day of the transfer
Yeah.
station being
Yeah,
open?
is that something you can start in June?
Absolutely.
So what is the day and what are the hours?
Friday,
Fridays 1 to 3:30.
1 to 3:30.
And Wednesdays, I'd like to extend to 3:30 as well.
Wednesdays, 1 to 3:30 as well?
Yes.
Instead of 1 to 3.
An extra hour a week to throw your trash away.
No, it's extra 4 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Because Friday's an
Jen,
extra day.
Yeah. Well, it's extra 3. 2 hours on Friday.
Extra
Yeah.
3 hours.
And hopefully that'll take the burden off of Saturdays a little bit.
A little bit. It gives people some more options, and
What are the hours on Saturday?
9 to 1.
9 to 1.
9 to 1 on Saturday.
Working 9 to 1.
Okay.
Can
Okay.
we say in the newsletter that there will be, letting them know that there will be changes to the prices?
Well, that was my other, I
Yeah,
say,
but we don't know what they are.
well, we can, is there,
To be announced?
well, yeah, watch the town website, because
That'll
where's
just-
the current
That'll just get
post? I think we'll have a decision
get
by
people going.
June 1st. I think we'll be done with it by June 1st. I mean, if he comes back,
I can expedite my information and try to get,
But the
You know.
newsletter will be out.
Hmm?
before you get us the
Oh.
information, before we can vote on it.
I got you.
So
So
we could
the
send them,
newsletter is going to be out before we come back next week.
Oh,
Maybe not.
Maybe
Well,
not?
Well, let me see. So you all have to sign the warrant next Thursday night.
So if the information's here at the same time as the warrant,
That'd be the last piece of information we drop into the newsletter and print it out on
Right.
Friday.
right? Does everybody agree to that?
Yep.
If
That
it,
doable?
Yeah, yes. So Kevin's going to come back with pricing changes on next Thursday night and you'll vote on it and then okay.
I have a question.
go right ahead.
Can I present the information on Wednesday for your review? And then,
Sure.
If you email it to,
Yeah.
email it to Jeannie,
okay.
she'll disperse it to us and we can
Just
have
want
it.
to avoid throwing it out there on Thursday night and then expecting a decision. I want you to have time to
No,
think
that's
about it.
good.
You get
That'd
it
be
done on
fantastic.
Tuesday, you can do it on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's just as long, we need to vote on it on
Sure.
Thursday when we're all together.
Okay.
And that way Jeannie will hold the newsletter and send it out on.
Okay.
Right, you could do that, Jeannie. If he emails it to you, then you disperse it.
Yeah.
All right. This way it doesn't constitute whatever.
Okay.
Do you think there's a good savings on the, what we didn't have for,
Absolutely.
yeah, good.
Yes. Absolutely.
And
The amount of TVs, the amount of tires, the amount of everything we collected, it was cut in half.
And as we look ahead to the possibility, I'll use those words carefully, the possibility of shifting from amnesty days to coupon. I think that would be a worthwhile thing to take a little bit deeper look at, for your sake, for the overtime sake, et cetera. And I think what Pat said, it would sort of ease a burden on people when, if they've got a few things they want to bring in, they don't have to then try and borrow someone's truck, and then we worry about stickers, et cetera. So I think that's worthwhile, sort of taking a look at what we might be able to do to ease the burden on you guys and the citizens as well.
How are you doing on your plan? I noticed in your report for planning and stuff for your summer
Mhm.
with employees and things. Are you all set for enough?
I am all set. Yes. We started working at Riverfront Park this week and yeah, we're in good shape. Yeah. Even with the addition of the parking lot at the PD, we're still in good shape. I have a good diversity of crew members that I can utilize throughout the town and at the same time. So that's nice for me as a manager to be able to do that. The other thing that the amount of material that we are collecting from the Midway project is more than I was expecting. And I'm thinking that we're not going to spend nearly as much as we thought on the new PD parking lot.
Oh, nice.
So there's some good savings there.
Good,
Excellent.
great,
And it's good material too. It's good roadbed
good.
based material.
Nice.
So
What's your ETA on this parking lot?
this parking lot, we got to let it dry out a little bit.
Mhm.
Never. So never.
But I believe Ambrose is done with their work. So now we can come in and get our work done and expedite that project. So, yeah.
Oh, sidewalks. When are you painting those?
Painting those. I placed my order with the paint guy last week. As soon as we get the paint in, we're going to start painting
The crosswalks?
Yeah.
crosswalks, the walking man.
I was going through town yesterday morning. It was kind of rainy out and there was a pedestrian if you're heading from the traffic light towards town hall, not the crosswalk right in front of town hall, but the one right before it, in front of the tattoo place, I think. There was a student in the crosswalk and traffic from the other direction wasn't stopping. One, they couldn't really see her. Two, I think the sidewalk was the bright blue really stands out. So go right ahead.
Somebody the other day called about 2 flags either in front of Salmon Run or just before Salmon Run, they'd get hung up in the wires.
Mhm.
But I went by there today to check on it as I was going to work, and there weren't any flags there.
No, we took down a few weeks ago, we had a lot of wind storms and some of our flags got damaged. So we took them down,
Okay,
and we have placed an order for new flags to replace them.
okay, good.
And we are going to entertain some ideas about changing either a location or just adjusting it so that they don't get hung up in the wires anymore. And I believe a request was made for sturdier flagpoles as well. So
Why are the flagpoles bending?
Yes.
they are bending. The swivel mechanism is failing, so you've got the base and then you've got the top section. There's a swivel in the center. Those are failing just because there's such a wind tunnel up Main Street, up along the river.
Mm-hmm.
We try to be aware of the windstorms. Just this one time, it just snuck up on us, and we weren't able to take them down in time. It was borderline microbursts. There was the snow and the wind and hail and all kinds of stuff going on. So
Next week when you come back, can you let us know what that's going to cost?
for the flags,
Yeah.
sure.
Do you think we could do like a fundraiser or something to replace all those poles to sturdy ones? In the last year since we put those flags up, I have not ever received so many positive responses. It just looks so nice that I would not like to see them come down. I really don't. Do you think maybe we could do like a fundraiser or a grant or something to
So,
get the money to replace them all?
sure, we could, yeah, sure, we could do that. But Kevin, I wonder, do we, is there stock somewhere that you're aware of that diameter of a,
So we can fabricate our own.
yeah, I don't know if,
Absolutely.
and
Okay.
I don't know if, how there's some mechanism obviously that attaches the flag to the pole, so maybe that's not doable, but
He's
We do
shaking his
have-
head going.
oh,
He's got a grin on his face too, so.
Yeah.
okay. Well, we definitely need, because it is a wind tunnel through the downtown there. And we've got flags up in Meredith, and we don't get the beating that they get here because it's just the flags, I think, are set off a little farther from the road. And I noticed that our flags in Meredith are actually at a lower angle. They're almost like this versus ours, but ours are like that because that's the bracket that came with it. So it has it that way. But the ones in Meredith are more like this. So I don't know if that helps with the,
Guilford has them on one street too, and they're like that. It has them on Schoolhouse Meeting Road going down. They're like that.
but they do look great.
They do. Oh, we've gotten a great response from them.
I have to say the town in general is looking, the 4.5 years I've been here, so many changes. It's really looking good between the flowers and cleaning up Timetable Mabel. I've got so much response from residents about Timetable Mabel. Oh, we can see the statue now. It's not hidden by the bushes. It looks so nice. And just everything, and it's nice to see everything coming together.
Yep. Really does look nice. And all the daffodils and the tulips, and they really get
Yeah,
a really
and
nice
I
response.
think that's something I want to talk with the board about, getting some more for next fall and planting more. I particularly like the tulips.
Whoever planted those tulips did a heck of a job.
Tilton School students did the ones along
Correct.
the wall.
Yeah, the Tilton School 10th graders last year did those.
That's great. I love
Did a
trying to
great
buy
job.
those every day,
Mhm.
especially in the morning.
Yep.
It's like a little
Kind of makes your day, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Yep.
Then I forget to go around the corner, and get honked at, but
Okay.
yeah. We lost our audience, so I can't ask the person if they have any questions for you. So I guess you're
Okay.
gonna
So
be,
what,
oh,
one thing before Kevin goes, you may have forgotten Kevin, so I'll just put it out there. The goalpost, Kevin had asked me the other day if he could bring them back to the field and put them behind the shed. And I told Kevin that that was something that the selectmen would probably want to weigh in on. You still have, I don't want to say ownership, but direction over the field right now until that, if and when that gets turned back over to parks. But I worry about the goalpost sitting out there and going missing. And I'd asked Kevin that, are they safer where they're at the DPW versus behind the shed? And I think Kevin's concern was that
Well, he's sitting right there. What is your concern?
because
Well,
that
we're
There-
trying to find a tactful way to say it.
yeah
They
that
would run into them.
No.
that the condition of them would be, the deteriorated condition of them would be
Blamed on
Blamed.
my department.
Got it.
So if they're there for a year or a year and a half, 2 years, and all of a sudden now we want to put the goalpost back up, Kevin, you got to buy us a new set of goalposts because they're destroyed. Excuse me, that's how we picked them up.
Well, they're gonna be deteriorated no matter where you keep them, correct?
well, yeah. And what I said to Kevin is take a picture of the condition of them now and just file that away. So
Okay.
Technically, do they belong to the school district? No,
they belong to parks, don't they?
Parks, yeah.
parks, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just take a photograph, log it.
Okay.
I mean, it's,
If that's acceptable, I would be glad to do that.
Yeah,
and then
you
tuck
move them
away.
behind the shed and then they have to be moved somewhere else.
I'm sure the footings for one of them is still there somewhere, and you're gonna have someone that's gonna try to set it up.
well, it's that, but if I'm not mistaken, aren't they aluminum?
No, they are
Oh,
steel.
Are they steel?
They are steel.
So things outside that are steel rust,
Rust.
corrode.
Yeah.
Didn't store them in the salt shed. I'm just kidding.
Are they
So, okay.
painted?
What's that?
They're painted, correct?
They're,
White?
they are painted, but they are rough. They are in rough condition. I will take some pictures and forward the pictures to you.
Could you,
So that you
could
could see.
you Rust-Oleum a quick
We-
coat of something to delay the deterioration? Because they still do belong to the town, of course.
Sure. Well,
Do they?
do they belong to the town or do
Or
they
the
belong
parks.
to parks?
Well, Parks is the
Parks is the
town.
town.
So
I mean,
yes,
come
yes,
on.
but
So
I mean, so the question would be is you've just asked to the director to Rust-Oleum them. Should we be asking parks that? If they want us to do that?
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Sure.
Actually, if you could get those pictures by Monday to me, I will share them with the chair because is next week the 12th or 11th or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the next meeting is Monday night.
Okay.
So I have meetings every night next week.
I would be glad to put a coat of paint on them and clean them up, but
Let's do that under their advisement because I'm sure that paint would not want to come out of your budget.
that's why I asked the questions.
So if you
Just-
can get that, if you can email that to me, I can get that to Parks.
Okay.
And I don't
Alright.
know if we're meeting in person or not. So I don't know what the agenda is. All right.
Yeah, just a little information coming up Monday afternoon. We have a meeting with the water department concerning Academy Street. So that project is going forward, hopefully. We're going to have a meeting.
Monday
with-
morning?
Monday afternoon. Jeannie and I are going to their weekly meeting, monthly meeting, and discussing.
That's why I was asked if the selectmen were going to attend. That's the meeting.
That's the rock wall.
Rock wall one.
Yes, there's property lines, there's a lot of dynamics with that project. before the shovel goes in the ground, I want to make sure everybody is good.
You need us to be there?
I think Jeannie and I are attending, so I think that would cover it for now. I'm sure that it's not the only meeting we're going to have, so.
There's a lot changes though, right? I mean, there's a difference in changes in the lot. It's some of it, the property that they thought they owned, they don't own,
Well, there's a lot there that
right?
this is just the first step
Okay.
to see where they are at. Okay.
I'm good, thank you. Oh, thank you for putting the speed bump on Cedar Street.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
So this is going to be one of those.
Oh,
You have a lot of trial and error. You'll find something. If you check out in these folders, generation furniture, you go into some of these. And I think Neil is going to be pretty close.
Yeah, sounds good.
The
Very
bolt goes to two knees, and like I said, there'll be some jerkiness when the character they'll kneel down and they'll have to spring into this position. But again, I think it's
whoever's coming online, can you please mute your microphone?
It's dispatch.
Yeah, I see Roger, and I know one of my neighbors is Roger, so.
Pitzer, Pitzer.
All right. All set? Next on the agenda are selectmen reports. John Scanlon. Thank you. Pat Constantino.
Listen, I have a plethora of things, but I know we are really into a time constraint tonight, so I will try to breeze through this. We are coming up with an MOU, a memorandum of understanding between the two towns, because we have 2 additional drivers that are training this weekend for the bus. The Chromebooks will take up next week. Tim's not here. We have a complaint once again this year with Burger King's garbage blowing into the Subaru. I've contacted Catherine. She's been in touch with both Subaru and Burger King, and they've resolved the issue. I've asked for a copy of the police detail policy, and we've had a complaint about drone flying in the village district. There have been 4 different complaints to the police department. I've asked Sergeant Kidkila for help in that area. I asked him to forward, when he got his answers from the FAA, to forward it to the board. You'll see in your emails his response. It was very informative, very detailed. Per usual, he does wonderful work. So thank you, Sergeant Kidkila. So we can forward that to whomever calls. There's a lot of calls we got all week. There's a young man that loves to hover over our neighborhood with his drone in the last few weeks in our backyards on Chestnut Pine, Highland, all in that area. And the rest I have is in non-public. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Pat. Scott Ruggles.
I have nothing this week, so quiet week.
All right. Joe Jessman.
Kevin and I will be taking a Zoom NRRA meeting, educational thing on Tuesday the 13th. And that's all I got.
Oh. Thank you, Joe. And next up is me, and I actually don't have anything today. So, hey, Pat, you could have taken more time.
No, we have a lot to cover tonight.
Jeannie, can you do your report in 20 minutes or less? All right, we're going to switch the agenda around a little bit and move the town administrator's report up to 5:40.
Okay, so everyone got a copy of my weekly update. I have 2 action items. I think we've kind of discussed the second one. The first one is about the fire alarm system at Town Hall. There was an assessment done and it was discovered that the upstairs was not equipped with a fire alarm. We have a proposal to install 2 fire alarm horn strobes on the 2nd floor, one in the large meeting room and second in the office on the stage, and some additional horn strobes on the 1st floor, because when they did the test, it was very hard. The level of sound was very, very low. So the total cost for that is $1,009. And I'm asking the board to go ahead and approve that. It doesn't make sense to me that I would go out and get 2 additional quotes, because the folks who do our alarm system have done, are the ones who are doing our alarm system in Town Hall. So to go to a different vendor doesn't seem to make sense.
So moved.
I'll second, Jessamine.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the $1,009?
Discussion.
I do
Discussion,
have
sorry,
one. Where does that money come from? What line?
It will, I would guess it would come out of Town Hall maintenance.
Maintenance, yeah.
Okay.
And if
Sorry.
you're okay, I'll go ahead and sign the
Question.
proposal. Okay.
Think about that. Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Oh,
Did everyone hear Jeannie's going to sign the proposal? Because she's
Yeah.
going to purchase it. Okay.
Yeah, but we still need to actually vote.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion passes.
Thank you. Second item, I mentioned this earlier, the tax warrant will be ready for your signature next Thursday. We plan to put the Tilton Times newsletter in the tax bills, and we'll include information. This is based on prior conversation with the board. Include information to direct folks to our website to respond to a very simple survey that will ask, what are your top 3 choices for the field located next to the new police department? For those who don't have access to computers, we will direct them to call Town Hall, and we'll have a mailbox set up specifically for them to leave a message about their preferences for use of the field. We'll gather all that information and bring that back to the board. So I don't know if anyone has any questions about that.
Would that have a deadline like you have to do
Yes.
the survey by? Okay.
Um,
Be interesting to listen to that.
I reiterate we made the taxpayers a promise when we asked them to support this police station. And then one of the questions was the parks gonna go back to that, to the people? And we said yes at that meeting. And I know some of the people that are sitting here at the tables wasn't there and they didn't commit to it, but that doesn't mean that the board didn't commit to that. And now we're changing a direction on what we committed to back then. And I don't feel comfortable with it. It is what it is, but I don't feel comfortable with it. We made a commitment at town meeting and we're changing the direction.
Joe?
And I would like to bring up once again that I never agreed to that. I just never agreed to that. And 2 of the people who may well have agreed with it are no longer on the Board of Selectmen. It wasn't part of the warrant article on any level. And so I just wanted to say that.
The people in the audience asked the question, the board, I would think that you would honor what the board's wishes were at the time. That's all. And the Parks Commission was there. They asked the question as well. A lot of commissions were there. They asked the question as well. We all agreed at the town meeting where the legislative body based their decisions on that. We all sat there, we all listened to it. It's in the minutes, but I mean, I get that you weren't a selectman then and you want to change the direction now, that's fine. We can move on. We won't have any more discussion
I
on
was a
it.
selectman then. I didn't agree to it, even though the board, as a board, did agree to it. I'm just stating, I never agreed to that.
I seem to think, I have this stuck in my head, so maybe I dreamt it, maybe I didn't, that I don't know if it was the architect or someone gave us a rough sketch and had determined that a football field would not fit. And this was discovered after town meeting.
No, it would fit. It would fit in a different direction.
No, I understand
Yeah,
going lengthwise, but it wouldn't fit based on the width and things like that.
I didn't hear that.
It was stated by one of the, not the architect, but it was stated by the first quote we got that came back and said that.
right. But then it changed afterwards because we got a picture of it by the architect in a different direction. Laid out.
I'm pretty sure I saw the picture. And a football field, it doesn't have much on either end, certainly, but
And that's what we gave the folks. But it's nonetheless, because you folks want to go ahead and do it, I'm just saying, if the majority of the board voted to go ahead and do this, let the board, I support as the board what the majority does. I'm not a type of person that says, well, I didn't do that, I didn't vote for it. If the majority of the board votes for this to go into a newsletter and decides, well, you know, we're not going to give it back to Parks, or we're not going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. If the majority of the board does, fine. But at this time, it's not done yet. I'm still going to be vocal about it and speak my piece and say, this is not what we promised the taxpayers at the time. And I will just reiterate that tonight, and you won't hear from me again. That's all.
So the question that I had for you at the end of that, is there anything else that you would like in the newsletter?
we've got the sticker thing,
Yep, we'll go ahead and put
trash
information. Yep.
stuff.
A zero tax bill. No.
I will put something in there about the Plan New Hampshire charrette that's coming up.
That's right, the bridge, right?
The Plan New Hampshire charrette is actually goes from park to park.
Right, I know, but are we gonna do something that,
We will talk, I can put something in there about the bridge too. Yep. There, we only have 2 pages, so.
Oh,
or at
that's-
least ownership of the island?
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
really good, yeah, that's a good idea. All right.
it's
Just
just
might-
Tilton Island.
Might we, and please chime in, when we had talked about the drone issue, is that something where we can direct people to the information that Detective Kid Keeler put out? I'm just wondering in
In
terms
the
of being,
newsletter?
in terms of
Well, I
people being
think the-
aware of it and having the awareness of what the,
We can put that on the website.
Okay, yeah.
And then we could just, you know, allow it to have people look at the website, but, and then also Tilton PD can put it on their website as well and
That's what
put
I
it
was
on their
thinking.
Facebook page
Good.
as well to have that information, but to put it in a newsletter where we only have a certain amount of pages, it will end up, along with the tax bill, it'll end up costing us more money to go to residents than it.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah.
I just think in terms of exposure for that.
Oh, it's a
for
good
the-
point.
For
Yeah,
exposure for that, for the folks who have called and that we've spoken to this week.
exactly.
So,
Right.
There was one piece of information in there that when I took my Part 107 class for my drone, that I didn't see in his thing, and I emailed that to,
The board,
no, just to him. Just
can
to-
you just, can
yeah,
you email it to us?
I mean, basically, it's that I can fly at 250 feet, between 250 feet and 400 feet in altitude over your property.
Uh-huh.
And there's nothing, I'm not breaking any rules or laws there.
Okay.
You're supposed to keep eyesight of your drone at all times and keep it within eyesight, but I could stand from the arch,
Mhm.
the park, like right where you go into the arch park. I can stand there if I'm in about 100 feet and take my drone and I can fly it actually all the way to the campus of Tilton School. But I'm supposed to keep it line of sight.
Mhm.
So, but I don't, I haven't flown it in a long time.
But
so.
you have a license.
No, I don't have a license, but if I'm doing it for commercial, I missed one question on the test. So,
Okay.
but if I get any compensation for anything, then you're breaking the law.
Okay.
But if you're just doing it, you're supposed to do it for fun, and which is what I do. I do it for fun. I go take pictures, and if I put it on Facebook or something, then I can. But
Yeah.
I use the proper things.
Got it.
So that was it for my action items. One thing I did want to mention in the FYI was just to point out again, there's an article in your packet about a program that they're doing in another community relative to outreach by their police department, which I thought was kind of a neat idea, given, kind of the place we're at these days. So didn't know if it was something the board wanted to think about possibly doing, not expecting an answer from you tonight, but I just wanted to.
Is there someone in the Tilton Police that would like to do this?
I haven't asked anyone.
Okay.
I brought it to you first.
You're just bringing it to us. Okay,
I think
got it.
I
I think
haven't
it's-
talked to anyone in the police department.
I think it's excellent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That third paragraph.
But if it's
Mhm.
something you think you'd be interested in, then I would approach.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I think so. And I think finding out from the police department if it would help them as well.
Yep.
To be able to have that recognition of those kind of situations.
It certainly would help the community.
Yep.
If anything for education, in response, reactiveness, it absolutely.
Is there just because I have the connection, when I read the third paragraph, talks about lights and sirens. Yeah, I wonder if that's something that the fire department would have access to, or do they have such a base? Because, if they are responding to a medical call at a house or any type of call at a house, and it's triggered, lights and sirens trigger
Yeah.
someone,
Right.
at least for Tilton residents.
Hmm.
I don't know what Northfield has, if they have anything.
Very interested in it,
Yeah.
Jeannie. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's all I have unless anyone has any questions for me.
You got 7 more minutes to fill.
No, let's keep going because we got a lot in the other.
I'm trying to see where we can
Oh,
go.
with the,
Can't start the public hearing until
right.
6.
Yeah, I can't
I
start.
forgot about the
And I don't
public
think we
hearing.
can fit anything in 7 minutes. Though I would, Jeannie, with the gentleman here, do we have a sign in for?
I
the
do. It's right here and I will put it out here in a minute.
Got some more people coming in. Come on in. We're kind of in a pause because we have 7 minutes before we can start the hearing. So, and we can't fit anything in. That would only take 7 minutes, so.
Well, I can.
All right.
You'll excuse me.
You got something falling out of your pocket, Joe? No, it's
No, it's not like it's a list.
it's his check from the diner that he skipped out on. It's funny,
Yeah, if somebody.
Symbols on the.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
I can see the little
All right,
marks, but I can't tell what they look like.
So we do have a response about the symbols on the mural that was proposed earlier.
Response from Terry Smith, who is the one of our art teachers at Tilton School, who's taken up the project. The semicolon is an icon used to represent a person who thought about or attempted suicide. Symbolizes that life doesn't end like a period, but rather keeps going. The green ribbon can represent both mental health awareness and substance abuse. Purple ribbon represents Alzheimer's. Red ribbon represents ADD and ADHD. The low battery charge represents depression. The gray cloud with rain represents anxiety, and the blue cog represents dementia and memory loss. She believes that the lotus flower represents hope, but we'll need to confirm it with the student who put it on there.
can you send that to me so I can?
I will
Thanks.
absolutely
That's
forward
awesome.
it to you.
I'd like to get it too.
Okay,
Thanks.
That's awesome.
will do.
People are gonna ask.
I wonder if there's a way they could incorporate that into the mural on like a little.
Then it won't be as simple as that.
Like a legend. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea. Put a legend on there.
Maybe the scan. Yeah. Raise the QR code up a little bit and go from there.
I have.
Well, this is gonna be,
Oh, okay. So it's not going to be on the other side of the.
it's gonna be the
They painted,
other side, so it's. Substance abuse.
the other side was painted as an American flag, I think, today.
They, Tilton School did the whole American flag this past week, right? All did one side, the ones with the dog.
The doghouse.
The town hall stuff.
Okay.
Dun, dun. You're gonna have to sit in the hot seat just so that you know. I know, this is like a cage. Be like a wrestling cage. I got 5:59. Getting there. I know. No, I don't have a timer on. My phone explodes at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, the time being 6 p.m. I'd like to open the public meeting on the tree streets. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss parking on Cedar Street, Maple Court, Spruce Street, Pine Street, Linden Avenue, Highland Avenue, Daniel Drive, High Street, Chestnut Street, and the west end of Academy Street, Prospect Street, and West Street. Residents on these streets received a hand-delivered flyer inviting them to attend the meeting because we want to hear from them. Sergeant Gilman is here this evening to talk about possible solutions to the parking issues. All right, the folks that just walked in, there is or Pat's gonna be very nice and have you sign in or give you something to sign in. That's just for the record, folks, that's all. We just need to be able to say who is here and who's not here. So, Sergeant Gilman, I'm gonna give the floor to you.
Okay, so I'm here tonight to talk about the tree streets, the parking that we've been going over for, I don't know, probably a couple of years now, back and forth. Just trying to find a resolution to the parking, the width of the road, and then also we have put kind of a sidewalk in. And tonight we wanted to get with some of the residents that are in that area to find out what issues they want to bring up or what issues they're having on those streets, so we can kind of tailor to that.
All right. So, do I need to have the people online identify themselves? Okay. All right. So the folks that are online, I see someone named Karen. Can you please identify yourself for the record, please?
Karen Morse. I live on High Street.
Excellent. Thank you. What was your last name again?
Morse, M-O-R-S.
Thank you very much. And is Roger Bitzer? Is he?
Yep, that's me. That's me.
All right. All right. And can you just identify yourself?
Roger Pitzer, 67 High Street in Tilton.
All right. It is
Morse.
you, Roger.
Yes, it is.
All right.
And it's his wife too.
And his wife.
And wife.
Mm-hmm.
Kim.
All right. Well, welcome. All right. So, Sergeant Gilman, continue.
Do we have anybody here that is from those streets at all that's for this meeting? All right. Excellent. And you. And I think you.
I am too. Sorry.
All right. So like I said before, I just kind of want to get paint a picture of exactly what the issue is. What I can tell you, what we have heard over the years is obviously vehicles speeding through, coming from the school zone, cutting across. We've also heard as you come up to the stop sign on Chestnut High, Cedar High extension, that area, and also all the way over to Prospect Street, High Street, the visibility coming to the stop sign, not being able to see, and then also the parking situation and sidewalk. So what we had done is we trimmed the bushes down over the years to kind of take them off from the stop sign. So you can see we made signs that say no parking, roughly 12 signs that say no parking from here to the corner. We had put a couple of those signs up before winter had hit, and since have taken them down, and we kind of want to see where we're going to go with that with the residents. With the sidewalk, there was a yellow line that went up Chestnut Street over the years. We have now put a white line on Chestnut, Cedar Street. Well, it's pretty much where it used to be, and then also a pedestrian symbol that shows that it's going to be a sidewalk. I think the next step on that phase is going to be putting just an abbreviation on that says PED only, which is pedestrian only, and then educating the community, the residents, of where not to park on that and to park on the white line. So tonight is pretty much to find out what the issues are that other people are having in that area, and also the width of the road is really narrow through there. We all know that in all those streets, and we have to kind of determine if there is going to be. We already know there's a distinguished sidewalk, like we said, there's a white line, and we have to park on that white line. That only gives us so many feet now to deal with. So 2 lanes of parking back flowing, 2 lanes of travel, or parking and 1 lane of travel. But with the sidewalk, with parking, and with traffic going up and down that road, it's going to be impossible to put all of them in there, the travel 2 ways up and down. So I kind of want to hear what the residents want to say, if anybody has some
Which
big
street again
issues.
now?
What's that?
Which street?
That street, mainly that one that I've been talking about was Chestnut Street, but the ones that we have put the sidewalk with the white line that we're going to be kind of tailoring to and is going to be Cedar Street, High Street, the Chestnut Street, and then also Prospect Street.
Okay.
All right. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab a microphone.
There you go.
Yeah, this is cordless.
the handheld mic for these.
Oh, there's a handheld there.
Yep, we can just pass it around.
Or Vanna, yeah, you can hold it in front of them or whatever you want to do. Does it work?
Hello.
Oh, look at that. All right. So Selectman Constantino,
Hello, Mr. Man.
if you'd like to comment, please raise your hand. Oh, over there. All right. And if you could just identify yourself when you speak, please.
I sure will.
Thank you.
And number one, I really want to thank you for this opportunity and also truly thank you for being elected officials in this area. I know the challenges of that. My name is Tom Matsky, Deacon Tom Matsky. I'm here representing St. Gabriel's Parish on Chestnut Street. Our mission, obviously, with this parking issue is one of the things that we're concerned about. We are presently working to reopen the church. Our congregation really brings in a lot of senior Americans to there. And so the parking alongside that road for them to be able to enter the church is obviously a very important issue to us. The other issue that we found, and you guys have blessed us with allowing us to do a hot dog stand, is that I find on days people are using our parking lot, even now up to the Booton Center, parking, I'm sure, for family get-togethers. And sadly, sometimes they're doing their auto repairs. So as you think through this decision as a community, please understand the mission, especially I think during these times, is to bring our senior population to church, to be able to park there, walk close. The other issue we would have is obviously with the parking, if that's not allowed, them using our parking lots for their own personal issues. And sadly, however, you folks in your elected positions make this decision, it would create for us, if indeed that occurs, to put in fencing, which I think could be offensive. The other mission we have there, and I know John Bruno will speak about this, is the food pantry. Sincerely, there are people in Tilton, as I find in Franklin as a deacon, really in need right now. And so those are the concerns that I wanted to share with you as a St. Gabriel's Parish on those issues for the senior population, those in need, and those people that seem to want to take advantage of the parking lot area. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Deacon.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh. And just make sure you, again, identify yourself, please.
John Bruno, 127 Sherwood Drive in Tilton. I'm also a parishioner of St. Gabriel's, St. Mary's at St. Gabriel's, and I'm also the manager of the St. Gabriel Food Pantry. Any closing of the parking on the street is of great concern to me because of our clientele. Now, we're open 2 mornings a week, Mondays and Fridays. And several of the people that come are elderly, might be slightly disabled. And to walk from our parking lot up to the pantry and carry stuff back would be an extreme burden on many of these people. And I'm very concerned about that. We help them out if we can, because they come in, we don't see them coming either. So they usually park right across the street.
Go ahead, Pat.
John, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with where the pantry is actually located. I thought it was actually at the Booton Center.
No, the pantry is in the basement of the church.
Okay, I see. So they're parking on Chestnut Street and just walking that, so they're not on the lower parking lot at the church, are they? Is that where you're talking about? No,
No, well, some people park there, the younger ones do, but the older ones park on Chestnut Street right across from the church or right across from the rectory, so they have a short walk.
and what days are is the pantry open?
Mondays and Fridays until noon.
And Deacon, is the church going to reopen on Saturdays and Sunday? Just those specific hours? Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, Selectman Constantino, could you just repeat what he said? He wasn't at a microphones just for purposes.
So the church is going to reopen on Saturday evening, 6 o'clock and 8:30 on Sunday morning. And the pantry is open on Tuesdays and Mondays and Fridays till
From-
noon,
Right, 9 till noon.
9 till noon. So they're very specific hours that probably we could work around.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno.
John Bruno again. One thing Deacon Tom did not mention, there could, during a week, on any given day, be a funeral or something like that.
Hi, this is Jeff Bordeaux. Live on 11 Chestnut, right across the street from the church. So our problem is we have 7 drivers in our family with 7 vehicles. And during the summer, it's actually a great relief, and it makes it a lot easier for us to manage our parking situation amongst our family. Our driveway really only holds 2 or 3 vehicles. So it would be beneficial to keep that street parking available to us during the summer months. Winter's actually very hard for us, but it's fairly manageable. I do have an issue with some people on Chestnut. They're parking fully on the sidewalk, and maybe that can be enforced through some warnings or maybe even tickets if it has to. But we go for walks at night after dinner, and we do have issues with people parking on the sidewalk. Thanks.
Thank you. Pat, did you have
Years ago, we had an agreement with the church, years ago, Deacon Tom, when Selectman Boudreaux was still alive. And they came to us and asked us to please stop that because the people on Chestnut Street abused it and kept their cars there during the winter and would not move it so that they could plow. And so, perhaps maybe that might be a resolution for the lower end of Chestnut Street to reestablish that agreement, and with the understanding that you'll move when there's a snowstorm so that they can plow, because it was such a great agreement because there was a lot of vehicles down at that lower end and there was no parking available for people. And then you could park in the winter at the lower level and then move when there was a parking, when there was a snowstorm for them to plow. And they were gracious about it, but it got so abused at that time. And it sounds like the rest of your parking lot is being abused at the upper end now. That's That's too bad. Well, we'll have to look into that.
Are there, oh, do you have a question, sir?
Rod, oh,
Dave Flynn, and I'm on 18 Pine Street. So I'm kind of fortunate enough where, parking issues aren't too much of a problem on my street. However, I travel Chestnut, Prospect, and things of that nature. One of probably my biggest concern, obviously, is some of these intersections we have, especially with, like, I think it's Pine and Chestnut. We kind of mentioned a little bit before, but yeah, your sight distance issues. That's a huge one between Prospect and actually Pine Street. Has there been any thought of anything like this? I've kind of, because I walk that area frequently. Has there been any thought or input as far as making those streets, some of these streets, one-way streets, where, we could look at the traffic patterns and the traffic flow? I see a lot of cut-throughs, obviously. Imagine a lot of the residents do as well, especially coming from Franklin when the traffic backs up, coming into town. I'm not sure if that'd be beneficial. It's something that I've been thinking about. If we could do that, to get the right traffic pattern, the right traffic flow through there, it might make a difference. And it's hard because some of these homes are so old, and the driveways are small, and they don't have enough room to park enough vehicles. Definitely understood, but I'm just kind of concerned if we can make, is it possible we could look into this, that making some streets one-way streets and then other, two-way streets, so that we could have walking areas, a sidewalk, or designated, with line striping and things of that nature. So it's more beneficial to the community in that area.
Go ahead. Thank you, Pat.
About our last public hearing was about, 6 years ago? And we had talked about making Cedar Street, and there was a few different suggestions, making Cedar Street a one-way in the opposite direction, because when the Veterans Home gets out and school gets out and Franklin gets out, all kind of at the same 2 to 5 o'clock range. And Chief Cormier thought that it might be a good idea to make Cedar Street a one-way from like 2 to 5 in the opposite direction. But it never went anywhere because we kind of sat on it for a little bit because it was such a contentious item. And then we put the speed bump in, and it seemed to help quite a bit with the traffic flow in the area. And we listened to, the residents, Eric can speak to it as well. And I live off of Cedar Street. You couldn't walk your dog on it. Now you can with the speed bump. But that's not, that's an option that we can look at, making, it go in the opposite direction, and see if that would help, making like Chestnut a one way and then going the opposite direction. It just changes the world for everybody that lives in the village, but they do use that. It's a thorough, because you can't get out on Main Street. That's the issue.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add is that, the speed bumps, I think, were a great idea. I think it's an excellent, easy, inexpensive option for the fact that you can remove them in the winter, so it's easier for maintenance and things of that nature. One of the things too, it's a good trial. We can always maybe institute a temporary one-way street, so you can try the system. If you came up with a system and see how the traffic patterns are, which are the best sight distance streets, then we could institute it partially and give it a try, give it a 30-day period or something.
Mm-hmm.
And say, okay, maybe this isn't the best option, but we had great success with, a different opportunity or a different street. Yeah, one of the biggest things I always do, I never come down Chestnut. I always go with the street light, at the intersection of Prospect, because it's
Mm-hmm.
safer condition,
Right.
for stop condition. So, because maybe too, by doing, certain streets could be one way and might be more beneficial for people at the park, especially if we have, a line striped sidewalk. Yeah.
I love the one-way idea. I lived there this is Eric Pyra, by the way. I couldn't agree with you more about one-way streets. I haven't had a chance to sit with Sergeant Gilman to give him my ideas, but my idea was always to focus traffic to the traffic light. You know, push it,
Right.
even making Chestnut a one-way from Main Street, you know, up to High Street, so that, or even West Street, you know, just make them go, get all the traffic over that way.
Right.
But
You know, and another thing I just want to add too is that you guys are probably obviously more in tune than I am with this, but I do have a concern with in the future a build out of what's going on in Franklin. So you get those cut through traffic when the traffic backs up and when the water park gets developed. You know, I think our street lights or the intersection, I'm not sure if that's ours or DOT's street intersection as far as maintenance of the
DOT.
Is it
DOT.
Okay, that's what I thought. Therefore, I think that's going to put, you know, tremendous stress on that intersection. And then you're going to have these streets, tree streets, be really overwhelmed with using that as a cut through eventually. They already do, but I think you're going to see an increase in that of volume of traffic coming through those streets. The cut through. We get a lot of people come down through Winter, come up Cedar, and they cut through Pine, or and sometimes, you know, they fly through either Pine or some of the other streets like that. So, yeah.
There's a lot of cars. We did a study in just on Main Street within one day, it was like 50,000 cars coming through in one day. So you figure that back up in a day. We've had DOT reassess those lights in the last 10 years 4 times. They're on a timer. So now I believe it's 18 seconds going from Main Street to Main Street, and then it's 20 going from Park to Prospect.
Oh.
So they change it according to the backup and how many seconds that they're backed up, or how far they're backed up.
Right.
They change it, but they've come back and reassessed it for a long time. Often, I should say, not for a long time. But you're
Eventually,
right. I mean,
yeah.
they do use that. I live on Maple Court. I always go down Cedar, High, and Prospect so I can get out at the light. It's a natural thing for me to do. And I'm a stone's throw away from Winter Street. But I can't get out.
Right. Yeah.
all right.
Well,
All
thank
right.
you for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. We got Jeannie back there. I think she can, because I can't read that. We have public comment.
I thought I would read it to you. You have a comment from Sarah Hill, who's online with us. She says, I also live on Chestnut Street and have been noticing cars parking on the wrong side of the road at the bottom of the street going onto Main Street. It makes it very dangerous when you have to go onto the wrong side of the road to get around the cars, and it's a blind spot for traffic coming from Academy to Chestnut Street.
Do you want to talk about have Abe talk about the no parking from here to corner as well?
Yep, we can. Oh, wow, we got a bunch of people online too. So, Abe, if you could, Mr. Sergeant Gilman, if you could just briefly talk about the no parking here to corner signs.
Yep. So we bought those signs, I would say about a year ago. I went out and kind of looked at the areas that we maybe would put those signs. Would be no parking from here to the corner, which would be at your intersections. And usually it's typically around like between 15 feet. We bought 12 of those signs. Again, we put, I think maybe 6 or 7 of those signs up. And then we had a little bit of pushback just where they were kind of located. And that's when we wanted to get with residents and find out in that area what was going on. But that's some of the problem is we're having cars that are parking right up to the intersection, which is illegal. But it helps the police department be able to enforce those, when people do park there. So we have the signs. I'd like to put them up. That's going to alleviate the vehicles being parked all the way to those intersections. And I think that's the perfect, that's at least a start, and we should go with that. But we have to get everybody on board, because if you put those signs up, you'd have to find areas, as you know, on people's property. So that's kind of the contention.
All right.
Was that the pushback you were getting?
Yes.
Isn't there a right of way beside the road?
There is, and I don't know if it was fully that. It wasn't my decision to pull them down. I think the highway pulled them down. I don't know exactly what it was, but I know we did get some pushback, a couple letters and a couple calls to Jeannie about that issue.
Jeannie's nodding her head, yes, in agreement.
Can you expound on that, Jeannie?
Expound on the parking?
The
or
pushback.
Yes, so
It's illegal to park from the 15 feet from the
Yep.
corner. So why is it a problem to put up the no parking signs?
So the one resident in particular who complained several times and brought in photographs, the do not parking sign was in front of his house, and I think he had a concern about the way it looked in front of his house. He didn't like the do not parking sign where it was located.
Was it on his property?
I don't believe that it was. I believe it was on the right of way, but still it was in front of his, if I recall, he had a driveway. And Sergeant, you can, I think, because you were part of that discussion, I think the parking or the do not parking sign was on the other side of the driveway.
Yeah. So what had happened is he was just asking nicely, just because it was on the right of way, but it was still on his property that he maintains, mows the lawn, and obviously it's there. He asked if we can move it on the other side of the driveway, but the problem is it's for us to kind of go with the violation. If there's a violation, it's 15 feet. So if we move it past the driveway, now you're getting to 25 feet. Someone parks in between that little gray area, you're technically, we can't write the summons.
You can't park in front of the guy's driveway anyway.
You're correct. It was just, there was a gray area. It wasn't quite on the driveway. You still could sneak a car in between where the sign was. Then there was maybe another 5 or 10 feet, and then the driveway, and you wanted it on the other side of the driveway. So you still had that little gray area that if you park there, technically, but that's kind of the issue we were having. We just got to kind of find out where we can meet in the middle.
I actually think there were two, and I don't recall the second one right now. That one, well, all the do not park from here to the corner, all those, if you remember, Sergeant Gilman came in to the board and had them all marked out on paper, and the board agreed to it. And then the DPW started installing the signs. My recollection is they got about halfway through the installation of signs. 2 residents, one I just talked to you about, the other one I vaguely remember. I think it was just one call or complaint. The other one, he'd come in a couple times and I had a couple conversations with him. But I think that maybe the DPW might have been hearing some complaints too. And so they just went and took all the signs down, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, I think I think maybe the other one, if I remember so, was on Chestnut Street at the intersection of Chestnut and High. There's not a lot of parking in some of those couple duplexes right there. And I think if you go 15 feet down, that's where that vehicle parks, the owner or the renter of that place. So I think that was going to be right smack dab, right where they park. So that was the issue. And I think as they were putting the signs up, they were having people come out and ask.
Maybe just as a suggestion, when we go to put signs out or whatever solution we come up with, maybe beforehand, just put flags out so we see where the signs are going to be before you put in a pole. And
Well, if you remember at one of your last meetings, that's what the conversation was with the board, is that Sergeant Gilman was going to go out DPW and flag those areas where those signs were going to go, so everybody could see those. Not only the selectmen, but the residents could see it as well.
All right. We have quite a few folks online. Is there any comments or questions from the online people?
Yes, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, just make sure you identify yourself please.
Yep, my name is Peter DeLow. I live at 17 Chestnut Street. And I'm sorry I got into the meeting late, but I was just wondering I know they were talking about going one way, and what was the purpose of making Chestnut Street a one way? What's the issue that's causing us to consider this, making it a one way? I mean, usually when I leave, I can go down to Main Street. I usually don't have much trouble getting out, especially if I'm taking a right. Again, it depends on the time of day. If it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you're not going to come out of the bottom of Chestnut and take a left. That's not going to happen. You have to go to the light. But if you're taking a right, it's never a problem. If you need to go down the Franklin way. But I think most people head to the light anyways at certain times of the day, the intersection. Other than that, I guess I'm just curious as to what the purpose of making it a one-way what would we accomplish by doing that?
So with the striping of Chestnut Street and these other streets and the pedestrian, it's not a new thing. Everybody knows that's kind of the sidewalk in that area, that live in that area. But the people that don't live in that area, we need to educate and tell them that is a sidewalk and you're not allowed to park on a sidewalk. So from pretty much after this meeting or whenever we start to really enforce it, we got to put up signage to just kind of tell people that is a sidewalk, even though it's not raised. And that's going to push the vehicles now further into the travel portion of the road. Before, even I just went by right now and there's a lot of cars on the bottom that are tucked right up. Probably there's only maybe about 2 feet of sidewalk. Roughly, you're supposed to have between 4 and 5 feet. That's what most sidewalks they want. So what would happen if you push those vehicles or the vehicles onto the white line or just over the white line into the travel portion of the lane? It's now going to push everything over. And I think you're only left with maybe, I think it was like 21 feet, 21 feet of the road. And then if you add the width of people parking, now you're down to maybe less than 14 feet width. Can it be done? I used to live on Daniel. So born and raised, I grew up on Daniel Drive, and I used to drive that when I was a young kid, and I've driven it as an officer. And it's manageable when you're from that area. You obviously just bump over, the vehicle goes by, you kind of go how you go. I just want to, not saying we're going to go one way, we're just trying to get an idea of what's going to work when we start to enforce the parking on the street.
Thank you.
Yeah, it happens now. I mean, if I move my car out and put it on the street, I don't park on the sidewalk, and it does become a one-lane road.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way you get in 2 cars. Even when cars are parked on the sidewalk, it's very difficult you can't get 2 cars by at the same time. And everybody's been very courteous. They just pull over where there's no car and wait for the car to go by, and then we wave to each other and go on our way. So yeah, I can see that, being an issue, especially if forcing everybody to make sure they don't park on the sidewalk. So yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the online? Is anyone raising their hand, Jeannie? I can't see.
I'm sorry, I don't see anyone raising their hand.
Okay. Anyone else back here in the room here have any other comments? Yes, Mr.
I do have another question.
Sure. Let me. I just called on Mr. Bruno first, so let me have him go. Then I'll let you go. Mr. Bruno, press that button on that, and just make sure it turns green. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to ask, in the past year, have there been accidents on Chestnut Street?
No.
I know there, and I can't deny the fact that occasionally some people come down rather fast. But I think if you eliminate parking or go one way, I think you're gonna see the speed on that street really, really increase. Because it's just gonna be a straight go. And as Mr. Peter there said, people have been pretty courteous as far as I know. I try to be. If someone's coming down, I'll pull over or they'll pull over. And I don't know the last time I knew of an accident there. Just a comment.
No, it's an interesting perspective. All right. And Mr. Is it Dalal? Peter?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah. We've been, I've been here for 35 years here at 17 Chestnut. How far up would the one-way go? Would you stop right at High Street or West Street, or would you go all the way to the top?
No, I don't think we'd go all the way to the top. I think it would probably go to High Street. That's what I'm thinking. But there hasn't been too much discussion of what streets would be a one-way. I think it's more of trying to thinking outside the box. I've kind of learned that that's kind of the way to go, especially if you live there. And again, I can speak on it, even though I don't live in Franklin. I mean, I live in Tilton as it is right now. I live in Franklin. I was born and raised there. I rode bikes on those roads. I said that from the very first time that I took on the parking in that area. I learned how to drive a vehicle in that area, and now I patrol that area. So I can say I've never dealt with an accident. I have never had any issues, but I know that I'm just one person. So I wanted to kind of, as the town, I think we wanted to just speak to everybody and see where everybody stands.
I remember you riding your bike around Officer Gilman.
Well, hey.
The only accident I know of is at the corner of Cedar and High, where there was a car coming up High Street, blinded by the sun, and drove into a Jeep. I don't know if the police were called on that, but
probably not. I don't remember that one. So.
Go
ahead, Pat.
Do you remember what promoted the discussion on the tree streets in parking and the issues back 6 years ago? Because I know that there was a parking issue and it was primarily Chestnut Street. And I know people were parking on the sidewalks, but there's never been an accident on Cedar Street, that one on the corner.
Yep.
And then there was people complaining about not making the turn on Cedar to High if there was somebody parked at the corner in the sidewalk. That was an issue 6 years ago. And then the issue was people parking on the sidewalks on Chestnut Street because it was too narrow and the plows couldn't get by, and they were parking in the winter months. So I guess what I'm getting at is that if we're not having accidents and there's not too much of an issue and people are being in that area being courteous to one another, then can you identify the major problems that we have on Prospect, Chestnut? I think it's Prospect, Chestnut, Cedar, and High are the predominantly ones that we're having. And I think if we can identify those problems, then we can kind of narrow it down to where we go from there.
Yeah, that's correct. So I think just from being in the area, knowing my perspective of it, I think the issues are obviously now that we have sidewalks that are, it's just educating of what that means and where those sidewalks stand. I think signage to keep people off the corners. We're still going to have traffic that cuts across, school, things like that. I think those are issues, the pedestrians walking, and then when you get vehicles that kind of get pushed out, that's fine. It's going to happen as long as people know that if you park on the white line or over the white line on a sidewalk, you're going to get violation or warning or something like that. I think that's made the major issue is, and then the parking on the opposite side of the road that's facing the wrong way, like the people had said. So if you're all on one side on Chestnut Street, let's just call that's the street. Everybody's parked on one side, on the right-hand side, on the white line, or just on this side of it, not on the sidewalk. And there's another vehicle, let's say halfway up, that's parked on the opposite side of the road. That's when we have an issue. So I think just education signage to make sure that if we're going to do the parking, it's going to be one side, which I'm good with, so that we don't have that. We just got to make sure also we have a lot of Amazon, we have a lot of UPS, people delivering packages, everybody orders online. They got to understand how the flow of traffic goes and what's going to go on, because nothing more of a pain is when you're coming down the road and you're doing SB2SA, you're kind of moving out of the way, but then now there's a truck kind of parked there blocking the whole intersection or the whole lane of travel. So I think those are the main issues. And the plowing. Correct, but we have a parking ban that goes from November 15th to April 15th. We're on that. We also just got to, as a town, to make sure if we have a storm that's coming, we have to have the town or Kevin or the highway department to put out that snow ban. So we make sure people are off the roads. I think it's just a lot of informing, education, using the social media, using the sign, using the, if anybody that's listening that's here also is the Tilton Alert. We have that messaging system that will go over your text. And then we'll alert you of situations that's going on Route 3 if we have accidents, or we can also tailor that for parking, winter parking ban, anything like that. So, okay.
Anyone else physically here? I think I see a couple new people. Is there anyone else online that has any comments? Well, I don't know how you're doing that, so that's pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, okay. The dogs. So, all right.
And I know everybody here has kind of said what their issues are in that area. And I don't know if I haven't touched on any, please speak up, because this is the time to do so. I just really want some input on what everybody feels in that area, because I don't like to speak for an area, a community, the residents in that area, and have to speak for them. I'm not the one driving that road and dealing with all the issues and the headaches. So this is the time, please.
All right. And yes, sir.
Quick question.
Just put your name in again.
Jeff Bordeaux, 11 Chestnut.
Thank you.
Legally, this is a question for the officer. Where cars park next to the sidewalk, can the tires be touching the white line, or do they have to be on the road side of the line? What is the legal way to park on the road?
It could be on the white line, but just be careful with that. I'd probably say half of the white line would probably be, just give yourself a little bit of leeway. But I mean, we have a good department. We're not going to probably write somebody that's just over an inch or like a centimeter. I mean, we're not going to pull the tape out. We just want people to stay off the sidewalk, so you have a clear traveled portion. So when you're walking your dog or anything else, we can make sure that we're open.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Yes, sir.
Again, this is Dave Flynn from 18 Pine Street. I just want to say thank you for taking the time and having this meeting tonight, because it's a great neighborhood, and I think we can definitely improve on this. If we can, like I said, do a trial and error, trial period or anything like that, I think it's a great way to do it. Again, I think if we look in the possibility of the one ways, I think it's going to be safer for people in the neighborhood that are walking. And also, I think actually we may have better luck with sight distance, and also as well now we only have parking on one side, which will allow that sidewalk. So I think we can definitely do this. I think there's improvements to be made to this. And I want to say thank you for having the opportunity to come to the meeting tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. We can't do these things without the input of the residents. So thank you very much.
Thank you all for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us online. Any other comments just lastly online? No, and then we'll go if Mr. Bruno could get a microphone. It has to be on the record, sir.
I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity to vent our concerns.
Oh, you're quite welcome. And
That's all right.
sorry.
Thank you.
Sergeant Gilman's going to take all this information and come up with a plan, and I'm sure that we'll have another public hearing in the not too distant future with the results, or at least his ideas, and go from there. All right, so I guess I will close the public meeting, hearing no other public comment, and thank you very much, and let the record show the time is 6:46. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dismissed. No. I do want to get with you though. I don't know what your shifts are. You know where I live, so. Well, Friday I get my COVID shot, so Saturday I'm around. You just call me or text me because I may be flatlined. I don't know. Yeah. I got to do my COVID shot tomorrow night.
Was the individual who had a problem with the no parking sign here tonight?
I don't know who it was.
Because I would have liked to ask them specifically. Yeah, I'm gonna put up the sign.
Yeah.
I got signs in front of my house.
I mean, I can think of one of my neighbors I can think of, and it was, here's his grass, and it was just smacked like right outside his window and in his lawn.
And I know aesthetically that's an issue.
Yeah.
Legally,
I did not know that
safety wise.
What that?
Oh yeah, you got.
Stick this pen in it, see what happens.
There's one on the other side too. There's one over there.
If she goes. All right.
Okay.
Moving. Oh, we lost. I like this room. All right.
What's that?
I thought that was a
Oh, I have one of those.
Yeah,
in
that's
my
what it looked like.
vehicle.
Yeah. I thought that was a speaker.
One of those tall speakers. Works really good, Bluetooth enabled and plays for hours.
Thank you all.
Good night, folks.
You all come back now, you hear? Hot seat. Oh, great. That's going to bring all of her plugs in.
You can plug a computer into that.
Her Chromebook, which we know she loves.
The new Chromebook.
He said he's got the money for it, but I didn't.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, have you noticed though, since she brought the Chromebook issue, Tim hasn't been, he's been like 2 weeks. I think he brought it up 2 weeks ago and he hasn't.
He's got 2 examples of it.
Oh.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, hi, how are you?
Okay. Did we miss the parking thing?
We just finished up. We had someone on there. We asked, Jeannie, can we still take some public comment on that?
No, we're just wondering if you're going a trial on one-way.
No, no decisions were made. We took the Sergeant Gilman of the police department took public comment, took notes, and is going to come up with a plan, and that will be presented at a later date.
Oh, okay.
Is this gonna, some way we can find out what went on? Because we forgot all about it.
This meeting is recorded, and probably on Friday or Monday at the latest. That will be online on the town website under videos, and just look under for Selectmen and whatever today's date is, which is the 6th of May.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
And if you
you.
want to if you fast forward, you can watch the whole thing, but it'll probably be about the 1 hour, 15-minute mark of the video.
Okay. Very good.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, next on the agenda, excuse me, is interim police administrator, Rich Mann, liaison role to PD.
Hi, so good evening. By way of introduction, I am Richard Mann. I'm your interim, and I've been in this position since February, and I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning. And what I had is a question, and it was hard for me to find the answer to. So the liaison selectman role, I tried to find information online. I couldn't. Several of the staff members have asked me to describe the role and responsibility, and I don't know what the answer is. I asked other department heads, but they don't have a liaison, so I figured I'd come back and pose the question here. What would be my role and responsibilities to the liaison, and then vice versa? If you could help give me some direction, that would, if I know the role, maybe I could do a little bit better at my job to kind of get the answers and just
Sure.
need some direction.
Sure. From my understanding, it's an interaction role between the Board of Selectmen and the department. Pat has been the liaison for a little bit, so she might be able to give a little bit better answer, or Joe, just because he's been on the board longer than I have.
Pat's been the
Yeah.
liaison for 10 years or better.
Yeah, so she can give a little bit better idea, and then we can give our input as well. I don't know if Mr. Ruggles has any. Okay, all right. So we'll put Pat.
You want me to answer that?
Sure. Well,
Well-
give input, and then we can.
I can give you some input because it changes and varies with different year to year, whatever issues. Basically, what it does is it's the liaison, it's the buffer between the Board of Selectmen and the chief. And you serve right now as the interim chief. So instead of 5 people asking you questions, it's one person, and then that person brings the questions and answers to the questions back to the board. That person serves kind of like the asking the questions. If they may ask a question, say, well, Pat, you know, what is the policy about this? And if I don't know this, I'll give you a call and say, hey, what's the policy? Or if they'll say, well, geez, you know, I've noticed this is happening and I don't have an answer to this, Pat. Well, what do you think is happening here? And if I don't have the answer, I'll call the interim chief and say, well, what is the answer? And then I'll bring that back to the entire board, not just that person, but the entire board gets the answer. So basically, that's what it is. Also, it serves as a liaison, so it's a sort of like a, I don't want to say open door, but if the officers had an issue, there's been many times where detectives or there was a couple of times where evidence person came to us and said that they came to me and needed an item, will explain to me, and then I would bring it to the board, and the board approved the purchase of it, things like that.
I mean, you and I have had several communications, work very well together. I just wanted it, if there's something else that I should be doing, and I didn't know, is there a different component to this? Because I have the employee saying that there's communication between them and you, there's communication between us, you and I together, and I'm not sure, should there just be a single point? Because I don't want to duplicate the information that you're getting sometimes.
I don't quite understand what you're saying. Any selectman here can ask any person
Absolutely.
a question. So if a selectman had a question for, say, like detectives, they could email the detective personally and say, hey, how's your department going or whatever, but they choose to ask that question. The board has chose to ask that via a liaison. So that's how that question gets asked, okay? So that you don't have all that many emails. And when we do that, we say, please respond back to the board. And that's how we do that. And so that, and it's always brought back to the board. So I'm not sure what you're referring to. I'm not quite understanding. I often ask sergeants questions. I mean, I really have spoken to any of them lately, except the detective sergeant. Asked him how he was doing because we're a detective down. I sent him an email, which I haven't apprised the board except in a non-public tonight because it is a non-public issue.
And again, I'm only asking because I've never been in this position. I've never had the liaison.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand the role.
Well, that's pretty much what that does. And I mean, I have the update. So again, I can't, I'm kind of caught. I'd love to answer you on that communication. Basically what I did is ask the detective sergeant how it was going because he's a person down. I have the email here that I'm going to give to them. I have 5 copies here for them to read it and obtain it. Jeannie already has a copy of it. I would love, I think you already have a copy of it, so.
It was just a general question.
Do you think that it's, I'm not quite understanding what you mean. Do you think that it circumvented you or do you think
No, not the
okay.
specific issue. I'm trying to define the role and responsibility.
Because I don't have any issues, so if you have an issue, then just tell me.
I just didn't understand the role and what my part of it was. So I thank you for explaining that to me. It is a little bit clear. And I'm
The other thing is scheduling too. I am meticulous about looking at the schedule and things and bringing up issues to the board about the schedule and things like that. So I'm really big on that. And sometimes I'll pick up the phone and say, hey, can I help with this, or what was the reason behind this so that I can bring this issue back. I know we had a conversation because there was an issue with somebody working, which I'm not going to say it, somebody working hours, but it's a non-public information anyway, but that I brought up because I look at the schedule and when I look at the payroll, questions come up, I'll pick up the phone and say, hey, because if they have questions, I can answer them. Okay.
Thank you. You've helped me out greatly. And I felt it because you remember the board and liaison.
That's
This is
fine.
the best place to come for clarification.
Anytime.
Yep.
Anytime.
Thank you very much.
I welcome it.
Mr. Ruggles.
So if and when Selectman Constantino leaves the board, should we not probably have outlined sort of policy, procedure, sort of job description for that liaison? Right now, to me, to my ears, it sounds kind of amorphous or ambiguous in terms of how it is. And having a definition of purpose and outlining exactly what the interactions would be really, really beneficial for the next person that would step into that role.
Thank you, Scott. Joe?
I've made my feelings known on this subject.
Okay. When I saw this on the agenda, I just did a little Google search of thing. I couldn't find a lot, but the town of Hudson had a robust liaison schedule of, I don't know if they're a board of 3 or 5, but I mean, Public Works, I think the library had one. I mean, every department and like cable TV and everyone had a liaison. Some of us are on different committees, and those titles are ex officios. Like I'm the ex officio to the Parks Commission. Pat is the alternate. Scott is the ex officio to the Budget Committee. I think I'm the ex officio for that. Yeah, John is on the planning board. Who's the alternate for that? Joe is the alternate for that. So we all serve and, we fill in things. So if there are an issue, we can go to John so he can bring it to that board.
We've had, for years and years and years, we've had liaison to town hall and liaison to public works. Recently, within the last few years, we've transferred those powers to the town administrator. So for years and years and years, we've had liaison to town hall and town public works. So recently, within the last 2 or 3 years, was about 3 years ago, we did town hall. When Joe left as a selectman, we decided that town administrator was well equipped to handle that. Public works was about 2 years ago that we did that. So every department really had a liaison from this board, and this board's a very active board.
Well, again, I want to thank all of you for letting me come here and ask the questions, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have non-public? Okay, for some reason I had it in my head that we didn't. So okay, I don't know. Pat said I thought.
I want to go over that. I had asked for that.
Okay.
To give to you. Yeah.
All right. So I guess we'll say the time being 7:02 p.m. I'd like to make a motion to move into non-public per RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2A, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee or the disciplining of such employee or the investigation of any charges against him or her, unless the employee affected, 1, has a right to a public meeting, and 2, requests that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. We expect to be back in the public session at approximately 7:30 p.m. Do I have a second?
Jessamine, second.
All right. All those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Constantino, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Pyra, yes.
Ruggles, yes.
We are in non-public session. We expect to be back at 7:30.
This conference will now be recorded.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the non-public meeting of May 6th, 2021, because the reasons justifying the need for the non-public session still remain.
Second.
Second, any discussion?
Constantino.
Constantino, second. Any discussion? All those in favor, roll call vote.
Constantino, yes.
Jessamine, yes.
Pyra, yes.
Ruggles, yes.
All right. Moving on our agenda. We already did the town administrator's report. Is there any other business to come before the Board of Selectmen this evening? Mr. Stadler. You have to press that button so it turns green.
I just had a follow-up to the police department director's testimony as why the other departments haven't been, or why the other departments have been transferred to the town administrator and why the police department has not. And then the follow-up to that would be, what's the expectation of the new police chief going to be as far as running that department, and why the police department is micromanaged by the select board and the other departments are not.
So what exactly did you want to know first?
Yeah.
Well, so there's no selectmen's representation, selectmen's liaison to the highway department, if I heard correctly. The town administrator, who's the HR person, it kind of handles the employees of the other departments, and why the police department still has somewhat ambiguous selectman liaison. And then I guess
you know, in my mind as a citizen, you know, you hire a department head to run a department. You hire your highway director to fix the roads and pave the sidewalks and plow the snow and pay the people, make sure everybody's working the hours they're supposed to work. And you hire and we don't have a fire department, but you would hire your fire chief to run the fire department. And, you know, why is or what is the expectation that the police chief is going to be given to run the police department? And why does he need the kind of hand-holding of the select board to do that when no other town department needs that hand-holding?
In the past, all the different departments in town, town hall, public works, police department, they all had a select board liaison. I've been that liaison to town hall, so I can only speak to that. The select board decided that the town administrator was better equipped to handle the day-to-day issues that came up in public works and at the town hall. They were more in the flow of the work and what have you, and that it would be better served by the town administrator being in that position. The Board of Selectmen decided that one of the selectmen would continue to be the liaison to the police department. There's a lot of moving parts, especially we had this discussion about perhaps doing away with that position and again, making the town administrator the person. But with the new police station and all the changes that have gone on, we've opted to continue with the police liaison position from the Board of Selectmen at this time. The duties of the liaison have never been written down on paper. It's always been if the board asks Pat what's going on, we do the same thing with Jeannie for the other departments. Jeannie, well, I won't discuss that part of it, but, and so Pat has been our representative. That's why. And it might appear as though we're micromanaging the departments because anytime you have a selectman over there, I could see where there would be that perception. But Pat is a conduit for, I should say, the police liaison is a conduit for if you had an issue that you didn't feel was resolved, you could go to the liaison. Or you could go to the town administrator, certainly. But it gives you somebody, a point person, somebody you can talk to. That's the whole purpose of the liaison.
What was the other one that he had two, I thought.
That's all right. It doesn't matter. Just wanted something on record about the ambiguity of the role of the police liaison.
It changes from day to day because the situation changes from day to day. It's supposed to be sending board policy here and getting feedback from here to bring back to the board.
Anything else? No? All right. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone online that would like to make any discussion with the board? Hearing none. Anything else to come before the board? Yes, Mr. Jessman.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah. Non-meeting.
No.
That's right. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We'll see you next week.